Jokic just had one of the greatest games in NBA history. 31 points, 21 rebounds, 22 assists, 3 steals, and he shot over 50% from the field. That's not just a triple-double, that's a 30-20-20 game, something nobody in NBA history has ever done. And it didn't even take him all game to dominate like this. He had a triple-double in just over 20 minutes. Only 8 other players in history have recorded one that fast, and the quickest ever, that still belongs to him. It's one thing to rack up stats, but he's doing it with ridiculous efficiency. 13 makes on 22 shots, 3 made threes on 7 attempts, and even knocked down both free throws. That's not just putting up numbers, that's controlling the game at every level. And the assists, he set the record for the most ever in a single game by a center. That's not just impressive, that's unheard of. Nobody at his position has ever orchestrated an offense like this. He's out there making it look effortless while doing things that no other center has come close to. And let's talk about how rare this is. Not a single player in the last 15,000 days has even had a 30-20-15 game, and Jokic has done it twice in the last 50 days. Nobody had even put up 24, 18, and 18 before tonight. That's how ridiculous this performance was. He's putting up stat lines that just flat out don't exist in NBA history. The way he's doing it makes it even crazier. These aren't empty numbers. He's completely controlling the game in every aspect. It's not like he's just grabbing a bunch of rebounds and throwing out assists to pad stats either. He's scoring at an efficient rate. And on top of that, he's finding teammates in ways that nobody else in history has. The fact that he's doing this at his size is already insane. But then you add in the fact that he's doing it at a level nobody else has reached. And it gets even more unbelievable. There have been so many great playmakers in NBA history, and none of them have ever put together this combination of scoring, passing, and rebounding in a single game. He's making history every single night. Every time people think they've seen his best, he just goes out and does something even crazier. There's really no way to deny how dominant he's been. Every number, every record, every stat backs it up. Even if someone wanted to argue that there's another player having a great season, there's just no one putting up these kinds of numbers while also leading their team to wins. They just put up 149 points in overtime, and he was the one who controlled everything. The entire offense ran through him, and the numbers prove just how much of an impact he had. He wasn't just getting teammates involved, he was orchestrating the entire game. He set the pace, dictated the flow, and controlled every possession like a true all-time great. And that's exactly why he's knocking on the door of being one of the greatest centers ever. He's stacking up historic performances at a pace that's impossible to ignore. Some players have a few games where they put up wild stats, but Jokic does this so often that it's almost becoming normal. But this wasn't normal. This was something nobody has ever done. Every single thing about this stat line is absurd. The scoring, the rebounding, the passing, the efficiency, the pace, the control, everything. There's not a single weakness in his game when he plays like this. He's proving on a nightly basis why he's the best in the league. The thing that makes it even crazier is that it's not like he's chasing these numbers. He's playing within the flow of the game and still putting up stat lines that nobody else has ever come close to. This isn't just a great individual game. This is an all-time historic performance. And it's not even shocking at this point. That's how dominant he's been. He's putting up stat lines that would define another player's career. And for him, it's just another night of basketball. He's not just putting up stats. He's doing it in a way that leads to win. This team would not be anywhere near as successful without him. When he's out there, everything just runs so smoothly. The offense flows better, the ball moves better, and everybody plays with more confidence because they know he'll find them if they're open. That's the kind of impact he has. His numbers aren't just big, they translate directly to success. There's no arguing it at this point. He's the best player in the world, and this game was just more proof of that. It's not even a debate. Nobody else is putting up these kinds of historic numbers while leading a team to wins. And it's not just about scoring. The way he's able to impact the game in so many different ways is just ridiculous. Whether it's scoring, rebounding, passing, or even playing solid defense when it matters, he does it all. This isn't just some random big night. This is a defining performance in an already legendary career. The numbers are absurd, the records are historic, and the way he's playing is undeniable. He's putting himself in a position where people have to start talking about him as one of the greatest centers to ever play the game. Every single time he steps on the floor, he's doing something that nobody else in NBA history has done. This was a performance that will be talked about forever. It was one of the most dominant all-around games in NBA history. By the way, if you guys enjoy these deep dives, I'll be posting every day during this season. I genuinely appreciate if you could subscribe. Thanks. Anyways, Jokic. At this point, if anyone's still trying to argue that someone else is playing better than him this season, they're just ignoring reality. The numbers don't lie, and the impact on winning doesn't either. He's leading the team to success while putting up stat lines that nobody else in history has reached. That's not just great. That's legendary. This performance was everything that makes him special, wrapped into one game. The scoring, the rebounding, the passing, the efficiency, the control, everything. He's at a level right now that just doesn't make sense. He's putting up stat lines that should be impossible. And the fact that he's doing it while leading a team to wins just makes it even more ridiculous. There's really nothing left to say. He's the best player in the world, and he just proved it again with one of the greatest stat lines in NBA history. Every number, every record, every single part of this game was historic. And it's getting to the point where performances like this aren't even surprising anymore. That's how dominant he's been. And I think because SGA is having such a great season, people are failing to realize how great Jokic actually has been. Check out these numbers. Jokic's dominance doesn't just show up in the basic stats. When you dig deeper into the advanced numbers, it gets even more ridiculous. His true shooting percentage is sitting at 66.4%, which ranks in the 96th percentile. That means he's scoring at an efficiency that only a handful of players in the entire league can even come close to matching. And he's doing it while carrying an offensive load that's unmatched by anyone. His shot quality sits at 72.7, putting him in the 85th percentile. That means he's not just jacking up shots, he's taking high quality looks and making them at an absurd rate. And then there's his free throw rate, which is at 31.5%, ranking in the 79th percentile. That just shows how smart he is about drawing contact and getting to the line. He's not the most athletic player, but he's so skilled that he consistently forces defenders into tough spots where they have no choice but to foul him. The one area where the numbers don't pop off the screen is his three-point attempt rate, which is sitting at 22.3% in the 18th percentile. But that just proves that he doesn't have to rely on the three-point shot to dominate. He picks his spots, and when he does take them, he knocks them down at an efficient clip. He's not out there hunting threes, he's playing smart, controlled basketball, which is exactly why his efficiency is so high across the board. Now, let's talk about his offensive rebound. He's averaging 1.7 offensive rebounds per game, putting him in the 90th percentile. That's another area where he's absolutely killing teams. When he does miss, he's still giving his team second chance opportunities. His ability to track the ball, position himself, and use his size to secure extra possessions makes him even more dangerous. His turnover rate is just 6.5%, which ranks in the 78th percentile. That might not sound flashy, but when you consider how much he has the ball in his hands, it's unreal. He's not just making plays, he's making the right plays and doing it without wasting possessions. For a player who creates as much offense as he does, keeping turnovers that low is absurd. It's just another reason why he's the best decision maker in the league. And speaking of his offensive impact, his workload is off the charts. His offensive load is sitting at 66.5, which ranks in the 100th percentile. That means nobody in the entire NBA carries a bigger offensive burden than he does. He's involved in every single possession, whether he's scoring, passing, or setting up teammates. The entire system revolves around him, and he's handling it at an all-time level. His creation numbers are just as insane. He's creating 19.1 scoring opportunities per game, which also ranks in the 100th percentile. That's a level of offensive playmaking that nobody else in the league is reaching. He's not just setting up teammates, he's generating high-quality looks at an all-time level. When he's on the floor, he's creating advantages every single possession. And then there's his portability, which sits at 9.5, another number in the 100th percentile. That means he can fit into any system, play with any teammates, and still be just as dominant. He's not a player who needs a specific style or roster around him to be great. He makes any lineup better just by being on the floor. That's what separates him from so many other great players. He's the definition of a system-proof superstar. His passer rating is at 9.4, putting him in the 99th percentile. That just confirms what everyone already knows. He's not just an elite passer for a big man, he's one of the best passers in NBA history, period. The way he reads the floor, manipulates defenses, and delivers pinpoint passes is something you just don't see from a center. He's running an offense at a level that would make most elite point guards jealous. And then there's his crafted offensive plus minus, which sits at 6.4, ranking in the 100th percentile. That's a metric that measures overall offensive impact, and he's literally at the top of the entire league. That means when he's on the floor, the offense is running at an elite level in every possible way. Whether it's scoring, playmaking, efficiency, or decision making, he's affecting the game at an all-time level. Every single one of these numbers backs up exactly what people are seeing on the court. He's not just putting up big counting stats, he's dominating in every advanced metric as well. His efficiency is elite, his playmaking is historic, his impact on winning is undeniable, and the numbers prove that nobody else in the league is doing what he's doing. It's one thing to be an elite scorer, it's another thing to be an elite passer, but to be both while also rebounding at an elite level, making smart decisions, and carrying the biggest offensive workload in the entire league, that's something only Jokic is doing. Every stat, every metric, every number says the same thing. He's the best player in the world, and what makes it even crazier is that he's doing all this while making it look so effortless. He's controlling the game at a level that only the greatest players in NBA history ever reach. Whether it's traditional stats, advanced metrics, or just watching him play, there's no denying how dominant he is. When you look at all these numbers together, it's clear why he's in a league of his own. His true shooting percentage is elite. His offensive creation is unmatched. His ability to limit turnovers while creating for others is ridiculous. And his impact on winning is off the charts. He's not just a great player. He's one of the most dominant offensive forces the game has ever seen. Every single one of these numbers tells the same story. He's not just putting up great stats, he's doing it in the most efficient, effective, and impactful way possible. His ability to carry an offense, create for teammates, and score at an elite level while barely turning the ball over is something that's just unheard of. There's really nothing left to debate at this point. Every advanced metric says he's the best player in the world. The efficiency, the passing, the creation, the workload, the offensive impact, it's all at an all-time level. He's not just dominating, he's doing it in a way that's never been seen before. And the crazy part is, he's still getting better. That's what makes this so unbelievable. He's already playing at a level that most players can only dream of. And yet every year, he just keeps refining his game and finding ways to be even more dominant. When people look back at this era of basketball, they're going to see a player who completely changed the way the game is played. The numbers don't lie, the impact is obvious, and the historic performances just keep stacking up. Jokic isn't just the best player right now, he's putting together one of the greatest careers of all time. But an easier way to see his impact would be to look at this. The Nuggets are a completely different team when Jokic is on the court. The numbers back it up in every possible way, and it's not even close. His impact is greater than 99% of all players in the league. That's not just impressive, that's historic. It means almost no one in the NBA has a bigger effect on their team's success than him. His mixed teamwork ranking is at 99%, which measures how much his presence creates a positive margin for his team compared to the rest of the league. And when he's on the floor, the Nuggets are dominant in every way. Their offensive rating sits at 126.9, which is elite. When he's out there, they're running one of the most efficient offenses in the NBA. The ball moves better, the shots are higher quality, and everything just clicks. But his impact doesn't stop on offense. Their defensive rating with him on the court is 115.3. That's not just about individual defense, it's about how much his presence helps everyone else. He's not an athletic rim protector, but his positioning, awareness, and ability to control the game make a huge difference. He's constantly in the right spot, making the right reads, and setting his teammates up to succeed. And when you combine those numbers, the net rating is plus 11.6. That means when he's on the floor, the team is outscoring opponents by an elite margin. That's the kind of impact only the best players in the league have. He's not just making them slightly better, he's turning them into a juggernaut. Then there's the plus-minus numbers. In 67.9% of games, he finishes with a positive plus-minus. That means 2 out of every 3 games, the Nuggets are winning the minutes he plays. It doesn't matter who the opponent is. When Jokic is out there, the team is controlling the game. And the on-off numbers, they tell the whole story. When he's on the floor, the team's point differential is plus 12.3 compared to when he's off. That's not just a big gap, that's massive. It means that when he plays, they're one of the best teams in the league. And when he sits, they're nowhere near the same level. That's the definition of value. A plus 12.3 on-off differential is ridiculous. That means the team isn't just better with him, they're overwhelmingly better. There are very few players in the history of the game who have had that kind of swing on their team's success. And the craziest part is that he does this every single season. This isn't just a one-time thing. He's been having this kind of impact for years. And the numbers don't lie. Every advanced metric, every plus-minus stat, every efficiency rating says the same thing. The Nuggets go from great to elite the second he steps on the floor. And it's not because of one specific thing he does, it's because of everything. He's the centerpiece of the offense, the glue that holds the defense together, and the player who makes everyone around him better. Some players put up big stats, but the team doesn't actually improve when they play. Jokic is the complete opposite. His numbers are historic, but more importantly, The team's success directly depends on him. He's not just putting up stats, he's elevating the entire team in ways that very few players ever have. The offensive rating with him on the floor is so high because he makes scoring easier for everyone. He's constantly creating open shots, finding teammates in perfect spots, and making sure the offense runs at maximum efficiency. He doesn't just create for himself, he creates for the entire team, and the numbers prove it. The offense jumps to 126.9 with him out there, one of the highest marks in the league, and the defensive rating being 115.3 shows that he's not a liability on that end either. A lot of people try to say he's not a good defender, but the numbers prove that's just not true. He's not blocking a ton of shots, but he's using his IQ, positioning, and physicality to help the team in every possible way. And the net rating at plus 11.6 is all the proof anyone needs. That's the kind of impact only superstars have. When he's on the court, they're outscoring opponents at an elite level. And when he's not playing, the difference is impossible to ignore. There aren't many players in NBA history who have been this valuable to their team. That 67.9% of games with a positive plus minus is just another example of how much he affects winning. 2 out of every 3 times he plays, the team is better when he's on the floor than when he's off. And the on-off number being plus 12.3 just makes it even clearer. He's the single biggest reason why this team is a contender. There's a reason he's consistently in the MVP conversation. It's not just because of his stats, it's because of what he does for the team. Every single number shows how much better they are when he plays. The offense is elite, the defense improves, and the team overall is completely different when he's on the floor. A plus 12.3 on-off rating is something that only the greatest players in NBA history have ever had. It's one thing to put up big numbers, but to have this kind of impact on the team's success is what separates him from everyone else. When he's playing, they're one of the best teams in the league, and when he's not, they're not even close to the same level. And what makes it even crazier is that he does all of this while playing completely within the flow of the game. He's not forcing anything. He's not dominating the ball in a way that slows the team down. He's just playing smart, efficient basketball and making everyone around him better. There are plenty of great players in the league, but very few have this kind of effect on winning. Every number says the same thing. The offense is elite when he's out there. The team as a whole is significantly better. And the difference between when he plays and when he sits is massive. This isn't just about him being a great player, it's about him being the single most valuable player in the league. There's no debating it. The Nuggets are a championship level team when he's on the floor, and without him, they're not even close to the same squad. The numbers don't lie. A plus 12.3 on-off rating, a net rating of plus 11.6, an offensive rating of 126.9, and a mixed teamwork ranking of 99%. Every single advanced stat proves that the Nuggets go as Jokic goes. His impact on winning is undeniable, and his presence completely transforms this team. There are very few players in history who have had this level of control over their team's success. It's not just about putting up great stats, it's about actually making the team better in every way. And that's exactly what he does. Every time he steps on the floor, the Nuggets become one of the best teams in the league. And when he sits, the difference is impossible to ignore. At this point, there's no argument left to make. Every single number backs up what's been obvious for years. Jokic is the most valuable player in the league, and the Nuggets are at their absolute best when he's on the floor. There's nobody else in the NBA with this level of impact on their team's success. And the thing is, Jokic does everything for the Nuggets. The numbers prove it in every possible way. His usage rate is 28.8%, which means nearly a third of their offensive plays end with him either taking a shot, getting to the free throw line, or setting up a teammate with an assist. That's not just high, that's elite, ranking him higher than 94% of players in the entire league. And when you break down what he's actually doing in those possessions, it gets even crazier. He's averaging 19 field goal attempts per game, meaning he's taking on a massive scoring role while still making sure his teammates get involved. He's also getting to the free throw line 6 times per game, showing that he's not just settling for jumpers, he's constantly forcing defenders to foul him. But the biggest thing? The passing. He's dishing out 10.4 assists per game. That means he's not just scoring at an elite level, he's also setting up over 20 points per game for his teammates. He's running the entire offense from start to finish. Every possession either ends with him scoring, drawing a foul, or setting up someone else for an easy bucket. That's why his impact is unmatched. And even with all of that responsibility, he barely turns the ball over. He's averaging just 3.3 turnovers per game while running the entire offense. That's an insanely low number, considering how much he has the ball in his hands. Most high-usage players rack up turnovers because they're constantly making decisions under pressure. But Jokic, he's controlling the game while keeping mistakes to a minimum. Now let's talk about the possessions he plays. He's involved in 76.6 possessions per game. That means he's directly impacting almost every single offensive trip down the floor. Whether he's taking a shot, setting up a teammate, drawing a foul, or even just making the right pass to keep the offense flowing, he's at the center of everything they do. There's not a single wasted possession when he's on the court. Most superstars specialize in one thing, either scoring, passing, or rebounding, but Jokic does all of it. He's not just a scorer, not just a passer, and not just a playmaker. He's all of those things combined. And that's exactly why the Nuggets offense completely revolves around him. And the crazy part, he's not just out there taking a bunch of shots for the sake of putting up numbers. He's doing everything efficiently. That's what separates him from so many other stars. He's not just taking on a massive role. He's doing it at a level that makes his entire team better. His ability to control possessions is one of the biggest reasons why the Nuggets are so dominant. When he's on the court, the offense doesn't just function, it thrives. He's the one dictating the pace, making sure the ball moves and keeping everyone involved. There's no standing around, no wasted movement, and no bad shots when he's running the show. Most teams have to rely on multiple players to fill different roles. One guy to score, another to set up teammates, another to rebound. But Jokic does it all himself. He's the primary scorer, the primary playmaker, the primary facilitator, and even one of the best rebounders on the team. That's what makes him so special. He's handling responsibilities that are usually split between 3 or 4 different players, and the numbers prove it. His usage rate being nearly 30% shows just how much responsibility he has on offense. Most high-usage players either score a ton or assist a ton, but very few do both at an elite level. Jokic isn't just one of the best scorers in the league, he's also one of the best passers. That combination is what makes him one of the most valuable players in the NBA. When you look at the offensive load he's carrying, it's almost unbelievable. Every possession, he's either taking a shot, creating a shot for someone else, or drawing a foul. He's not just making plays, he's making the right plays every single time. That's why the Nuggets offense is so efficient. Everything runs through him, and he makes sure they get the best possible shot every possession. And it's not just about putting up numbers, it's about winning. The Nuggets don't just rely on him to score, they rely on him to make everything easier for everyone else. He's the reason their role players thrive. When he's on the floor, everyone gets better looks, everyone gets easier shots, and everyone has a clearer role. That's why his presence is so valuable. Some players are high usage but don't actually make their teammates better. Jokic is the complete opposite. His usage rate isn't just high, it's productive. He's scoring at an efficient rate, passing at a historic level, and keeping turnovers low despite being involved in nearly every possession. That's not just rare, that's unheard of. And when you break down his actions per game, it's clear just how much he's doing. 19 field goal attempts, 6 free throw attempts, 10 assists, and just 3 turnovers. That means he's making the right decision almost every single time. Whether he's creating for himself or others, he's doing it with precision and efficiency. The biggest thing that separates him from other stars is his versatility. He doesn't have to dominate the ball to dominate the game. He's not a player who just isolates and forces up tough shots. He's constantly moving, constantly reading the defense, and constantly making the right play. That's why he's the engine that makes everything run. There are very few players in NBA history who can impact the game like this. He's not just putting up big numbers, he's controlling every single aspect of the offense. His usage rate shows just how much responsibility he has, and the fact that he's doing it efficiently makes it even more ridiculous. The Nuggets don't need multiple superstars, because Jokic does the job of several players all by himself. He's their go-to scorer, their best passer, their most important playmaker, and one of their most consistent rebounders. There's nothing he doesn't do. And the craziest part, he makes it look easy. He's not out there forcing things, he's just playing his game, and it's leading to some of the best numbers in NBA history. When you watch him play, it's clear that he's controlling the entire game, and every single possession runs through him. The numbers don't lie. His usage rate, his actions per game, his efficiency, everything proves that he's the most valuable player in the league. No other player in the NBA is carrying this kind of responsibility while also making his team this much better. When you look at the numbers, it's obvious. He's not just great, he's one of the most impactful players the game has ever seen. He's running the entire offense, setting up teammates, scoring at an elite level, and doing it all without turning the ball over. That's why the Nuggets are so dangerous with him on the floor. At this point, there's no debate. He's the most complete offensive player in the league. Whether it's scoring, passing, playmaking, or decision making, he does everything at an elite level. The numbers back it up, the team's success backs it up, and the eye test backs it up. Jokic isn't just playing great basketball. He's running an entire offense at a historic level. He's doing everything for this team, and the results speak for themselves. Every stat, every possession, every advanced metric says the same thing. He's carrying the biggest offensive load in the league, and he's doing it better than anyone. Overall, though, Jokic just had one of the most dominant performances in NBA history. But at this point, should anyone even be surprised? Every single time he steps on the floor, he's doing things that shouldn't be possible for a player his size. His scoring, rebounding, and passing are already elite on their own. But when you combine them all into one player, you get something that has never been seen before. He's running an offense like a superstar guard while still controlling the paint like a dominant big. There's simply no comparison to what he's doing, and the numbers prove it. The craziest part of all of this is how effortless it looks. He's not out there forcing shots, hunting stats, or playing outside of his natural game. He's just playing smart, efficient basketball and making the absolute best decisions every single time. That's why his impact is so massive. When he's on the court, everything just works. The offense flows, teammates get better looks, and the game slows down in a way that makes it impossible for opponents to keep up. It's not just that he's putting up insane numbers, it's that he's making it look easy. There have been plenty of great passers in NBA history, but nobody has ever done it like this. He's setting records for assists at the center position and making reads that most point guards would never even think of. The vision, the precision, the ability to manipulate defenses, it's all at a level that defies logic. The fact that he can do this while also being one of the most efficient scorers in the game just makes it even more ridiculous. And then there's the rebounding. He's not just grabbing boards, he's controlling possessions. He knows exactly where the ball is going before it even hits the rim, and he uses his positioning, size, and instincts to dominate the glass. Every time he secures a rebound, it turns into an instant offensive opportunity because he can push the ball, find an open teammate, or set up a high-quality shot. There's no wasted movement, no hesitation, just pure dominance in every aspect of the game. It's not just about numbers either. It's about how much better he makes his team. The Nuggets with Jokic on the floor are an entirely different team. They go from being a good squad to an elite one, and the drop-off when he sits is undeniable. There are plenty of great players who put up massive stats, but very few actually elevate their entire team the way Jokic does. The offense revolves around him. The ball movement thrives because of him, and the entire system is built on his ability to make everyone around him better. This isn't just a great player having a great season. This is an all-time talent putting together one of the most dominant stretches in NBA history. Every game, every performance, every stat line just adds to the legacy he's building. The records, the impact, the consistency, it's all there. He's proving every single night why he's the best player in the league. And at this point, there's no argument left to make. If you guys enjoyed this, I'll be posting every day during the season. I genuinely appreciate if you could subscribe. Thanks for watching.